Hello, I'm Jack Bowen. It was a leap of faith, a leap halfway around the world as St. Luke's United Methodist Church dared to risk a missionary journey to Russia, to a place where a large group of ordinary Americans had never gone before. They risked their time, their energy, and money, but most of all, they risked being rejected. But believing that it was God's will, they obediently followed his call to go to Russia with God's love. June 25th, 40 members of St. Luke's United Methodist Church of Oklahoma City gather at Will Rogers Airport for their mission to Russia. Jason, you went to, well, what was the Soviet Union 25 years ago, right?
25 years ago, yes.
Tell me just, quickly what you kind of found then and what you expect to find now in contrast to that.
The thing that I expect to find that's the same is a great group of people.
Boarding the plane is only the start of a 12,000-mile journey through New York, then 8 hours to Helsinki, Finland, and finally the last leg of our air journey to Moscow. It's about 24 hours later. We're outside a train station in Moscow, about to catch a ride to our destination, 17 hours away.
This is the most incredible place I've ever been.
I've never been on a train quite like this, and nothing obviously this nice. I think it's going to be very exciting the next 17 hours and where we go from here.
The train ride, which costs less than $2 a person, takes us about 600 miles southeast of Moscow to Ulyanovsk, a city alongside the Volga River. As we pull into town, there is excitement and some anxiety. Each of us will stay for the next week in the home of a Russian family. We and they are wondering who we'll be with and what they'll be like. I find out I'll be the guest of the family of Vladimir Makarov. Меня зовут Jack Bowen.
Yes. Владимир меня зовут.
Как дела?
Отлично. Okay. Okay.
Do you speak any English?
No.
Русский.
Okay.
Our hosts give us flowers. Then we leave with them, thinking it will be an interesting and fun week, not realizing that before it's over, we'll literally bond with and become a part of these families, and that we'll dread the day a week later when we have to say goodbye. We knew something about Ulyanovsk before we arrived, something about its beauty and its scenery and its people, and something about its history. But it was all magnified when we experienced it firsthand. That's when it really dawned on us how astounding it was that we were there, especially when you consider the political history of this city. Ulyanovsk, population 740,000, a major port along Europe's longest river, the beautiful Volga. Originally named Simbirsk, it was renamed for the man who grew up in this house, the man who led the communist takeover of Russia and methodically destroyed all the churches here. Ironically now, 40 members of St. Luke's Methodist Church of Oklahoma City tour his home while on a trip to help establish a church here. And there's talk among Russians of possibly changing the city's name back to Simbirsk. This is where Vladimir Lenin was born. His last name at birth was Ulyanov. Whether or not the name of the city has changed, something else has radically changed. This is where the Communist Party in this region met until last August. And so radical are those changes that this is where the church group from Oklahoma City was welcomed. Here, where leaders who discouraged Christianity once met, Oklahoma Christians are greeted and share their faith.
We believe that God is the creator of all people.
Мы верим, что Бог создал всех людей.
So we all are one family.
И мы все одна семья.
Both sides exchanged gifts. One of the most popular presents among the Russians, belt buckles, which Five Alive obtained from the National Cowboy Hall of Fame.
К сожалению, нет губернатора Ульяновской области.
We regret that the governor of the Ulyanovsk region isn't present here.
Но этот сувенир я ему передам специально, потому что он является первым ковбоем Ульяновской области.
But since he is considered to be the first cowboy of the Ulyanovsk region, I'll pass this bell buckle to him.
Outside, just married couples continue a time-honored tradition of coming here right after weddings to place flowers at a statue of Lenin and to pose for pictures. But the fading of Lenin's ideals in this society is accentuated by what can also happen here now.
On behalf of St. Luke's Church in Oklahoma City, we would like to give you a wedding present.
От имени церкви Святого Луки в Оклахома-Сити это для вас свадебный подарок.
And we wish you the very best.
И желаю вам счастья, всего самого наилучшего.
Have a happy marriage.
Счастливого вам венчания.
Congratulations.
Поздравляем вас. Thank you very much.
We found that kind of friendliness in Russia's people everywhere we went. Here's another example.
Preserve everything that is connected with the name of Plastov.
A walk through a beautiful countryside. The flowers. The fruit of the land, growing wild.
Wild strawberries are so good too.
We knew we were getting close to something quite special. This is the village that inspired some of Russia's most beautiful art by an artist named Arkady Plastov. This is the village where he lived.
The key is walking an angle.
We were walking or sliding into the paths, for at the bottom of the hill, the village of Prislanica seemed frozen in time many years ago. We could see it wasn't just the scenery, but the people, the real, hard-working, ordinary people who inspired Plastov. From Prislanica, we went to a collective farm where we were treated to a feast of food and fun. We felt obliged to reciprocate and entertain our hosts with some really deep Americana.
Put your head right in, you put your head out, you put your head in and you shake it all down.
Instead of our differences, we saw how much alike we are. And on this sunny day, we realized that it really is a small world after all. Most of the Russian people we met told of how they had always had a warm place in their hearts for Americans. They never bought the propaganda. We were almost caught off guard by the emotional welcome we received at one particular stop. On paper, it sounded rather bland, a visit to something akin to a nursing home, a health retreat for veterans of labor and war.
Bread and salt. Welcome to our wretched land.
Many of the military veterans, veterans of World War II, or as they call it, the Great Patriotic War, were especially excited to see Americans, for they had vivid memories of fighting alongside Americans during a time when our two countries were allies.
С вами встретиться и здесь вот радоваться и веселиться.
I'm very happy that 47 years later, after that meeting, we got a chance to meet again and greet each other in our land, in peace.
There were tears shed in our group as our hosts followed us as we left.
These are such precious people, and They're so caring and so giving and so outgoing and so sweet.
The people we met were what made this trip worthwhile, especially those wonderful, generous, loving people who allowed us to live in their homes, become part of their families for a week. I know everybody in our delegation could tell stories similar to the story of my adopted Russian family. The Makarov family owns this dacha, a summer house east of Ulyanovsk. The husband and father, Vladimir, is my age, 43. He works at a government-run lumber and hardware warehouse.
Jack. Yes.
Kartus.
Kartus.
I like it. What, do you leave it like that, or do you, when you wear it?
Так, по-моему, да?
Да.
Дишвей.
Вот. Картуз.
Ну-ка, один покажи.
Картуз? Да, картуз.
Very good. All right.
Yes, it's гармошка.
Yes, I like it. I like it.
Okay.
She's so glad to meet me.
Vladimir's wife, Larissa, is 33. Lucky for us, she's an English professor at the Ulyanovsk branch of Moscow State University. Vladimir's mother, Lilia, is 63. She's lovely and affectionate.
Русская ромашка. Пожалуйста.
Спасибо. Vladimir and Larissa's 8-year-old son, Alosha, wants to play. This is a new version of the Cold War. Smell of water. Hasta la vista, baby. All Russians are eligible to sign up for a piece of land to grow food. Most do. In the Makarovs' case, it's the land at their dacha.
Carrots. Carrots.
Speaking of food, Lilia is preparing the catch of the day from the nearby river.
Рыбка из Волги.
What are they for? They're not swords. So what are they?
Is it to cook? Stick in the meat?
So meat.
Hold the meat. Skewers.
Skewers.
Skewers for sheshlik, sort of like shish kebab, the start of a feast. Do you feed all your guests this well?
Нет. Только гостей из Оклахомы.
Yeah. It's only Oklahoma guests.
Ну, конечно, это кажется мне
It's
просто
incredible.
чудом.
It's incredible. She says it's a miracle for
будет
her.
такой, ну, исторически неповторимый
Some
момент.
historical, she can compare it with some historical event.
Are we, Phil and I, the photographer and I, the first two Americans you've ever met?
Джек и оператор, это первые американцы, с которыми вы общаетесь?
Конечно.
Sure.
Would you like to visit America?
Ты бы хотел поехать в Америку?
Yes.
Why would you like to visit? What
Почему
would
бы
you
тебе
like
это
to know?
хотелось?
Я хотел бы посмотреть на самое.
He wanted to see the largest and the most developed country with his own eyes.
I asked Larissa about her dreams for the future of her family and her country.
The life is not that easy, and we did not think at that period of time, we did not think about future. Mostly we think about the day, about the present day and its problems. So we are happy, but we have a lot of problems.
As we all got to know our families better and came to love them, it was only natural that we began looking for ways to make a difference in their lives. And that's why one part of our group wanted to tour medical facilities. Among the St. Luke's delegation are 2 doctors, 2 nurses, and a physical therapist. First, on this day, they visit a children's clinic.
This is for administering insulin to diabetics.
Human insulin? I think that's human insulin.
This clinic in a town of 740,000 cares for children all the way from premature babies to youngsters with heart problems. Yet the intensive care unit has just 6 spaces. It becomes obvious, though, that doctors are simply doing the best they can with what they have here and at the town's premier medical facility, the Ulyanovsk Regional Hospital. There are 4 hospitals in this region around Ulyanovsk that serve more than 2 million people. This is the biggest and best. Bear in mind, as we show you what's inside, that this is state-of-the-art for the Ulyanovsk area. The main part of this building was constructed in 1820. 12,000 people who have surgery here every year recover in crowded rooms. The cardiac care unit is the same, with no sign of any sophisticated monitoring equipment. This is the only hospital in the region with kidney dialysis machines, but there are just 3, and they will run out of dialysis filters in August with no new supplies in sight. Only high-risk pregnancy cases are taken here. Oxygen for this child, just born by C-section, is pumped into a simple plastic bag around the baby. We see another infant born just 1 hour ago. We find out later that no outsiders, not even fathers, are normally allowed anywhere on this floor of the hospital, making it even more surprising when they take us in to see the lady who just had that hour-old baby. Despite her pain, we find a way to make her smile. We took pictures of your baby, and people on American television see pictures of your baby. Even while looking for ways to minister to the physical needs of our host city, it was a part of a much larger effort to minister also spiritually. Here again, we were welcomed, for despite what you may have ever heard or believed about Russia, this is not a nation of unbelievers. Christianity has been in Russia much longer than in America. The Russian Orthodox Church celebrated its 1,000th anniversary here in 1988. But it was the communist government's effort to wipe out religion that for 70 years suppressed religious expression here. So when these 40 members of St. Luke's Methodist Church came to Russia, they made it clear they weren't trying to impose religion on anyone. Instead, they wanted to encourage Russians to rebuild the open expression of their faith. The big event for this group was holding a church service on a Friday night here at the community center in Ulyanovsk. The Oklahomans had hoped that along with their hosts and maybe some additional friends, they might have 100 people to worship. Instead, there were 175.
I brought my son here. He's only 7, and it was also for the first time in his life. And he was just sitting and trying to follow, to read every word in the Bible.
St. Luke's minister Bob Long used 2 stories from the scriptures: the prodigal son to tell worshipers of God's forgiveness, and the Good Samaritan as an example for people of all nations to love each other.
We thank you that you do forgive us. And now give us the courage to forgive one another, so that truly we might be one family, your family.
God is one, and it doesn't matter whether American minister said or whether it will be the Russian priest. We understood each other
we did understand each other. We really did, far beyond what we ever expected. Why? Because that bonding with our hosts, the bonding that made us weep when we said goodbye, far exceeded anything we'd prepared for. And when we left, they did. They loved us, and we loved them.
Do you speak any English?
No.
Ruski.
Okay.
The sounds are all as different as the lands from which they came. And though our words are all unique, our hearts are still the same. Love in any language, straight from the heart, pulls us all together, never apart. And once we learn to speak it, all the world will hear. Love in any language, fluently spoken here. We teach the young our differences, yet look how we're the same. We love to laugh, to dream our dreams. We know the sting of pain. From Leningrad to Lexington, the farmer loves his land. And daddies all get misty-eyed to give their daughters hand.